Hello, so today we will talk about the Leetcode. Question number 142, linked list with circle, and number 2, second question. So the problem is that suppose you are given a linked list, for example, 3 to 0 minus 4, and the tail node minus 4 will point to some node in the linked list so that it will construct a circle from 2 to 0, from 0 to minus 4, and from minus 4 to 2. And the question is like, if there is no circle, you return none. But if there is a circle here, you should return where the circle begins, means that you should return 2, the start node of the circle in this linked list. This is the first example. The second example is like there is only a 2 node, and the start of the circle is exactly the start of the linked list. So it means that you should return um, 1 whose index is 0, right? And the formal question is that you should return 1 because the index of the second node is 0, 1, right? It's 1. And the third example is actually there's no circle, so you should return none. So because there's no circle here. So let's have analysis of this question. So basically, in the web, there is already a lot of discussions regarding this question. And for example, the most popular is like this. The time complexity is just one loop of the node in the list. And however, the code is very clear, but the explanation is a little bit difficult to understand. We prefer some intuitive examples to better understand what's going on inside. So why this formula stands for this example. And the most important question is that, so when one node, so the second loop is that first we use 2 pointers. The first pointer will jump twice, 2 nodes. And the second pointer, slow pointer, will jump only 1 node, 1 time. So there's some question not clear here. So one is that what's the distance? Is that number of nodes or is that number of arcs? Actually, it should be number of arcs. So I will give examples later. The second is that ice, which is the distance between the start node of the list and the start node of the circle, is ice. Ice and k here is that the distance between the start of the list and the first meeting node is k. And the im is that the distance between the start node of circle and the first meeting node is m. So we have s equal to k minus m. It's fine to understand. I will give examples, but the second is very important. So after we found the meeting point, we start from one pointer from this midpoint and another from the height. The both will have step lines of 1 plus 1. And finally, their midpoint, mid node, is the start of the circle. This actually is a little bit difficult to understand intuitively. So I will give you some example. So there is another explanation in YouTube. Uh, Also use some quite similar ideas. So suppose the start of the list to the midpoint, to meet a node, the distance, the number of arcs is m, and suppose the meet in the circle here, and from the midpoint, from the start of the circle to the midpoint, we suppose there are there are y arcs, and suppose from the midpoint to the start of the circle, there are x arcs, and the number of arcs or the number of nodes in this circle is n. We suppose it's n, then x plus y is n, right? I did give an explanation of this formula, and actually we need more details and examples of m, x, y, and n. So let's start our real part of explanation. So first of all, we should define 4 parameters, just as the former slide. The first one is that suppose from the height of the node in the linked list to the start node of the circle, suppose there are m arcs. Note, the number of arcs is the number of nodes minus 1. So if there are m arcs here from the height to the start of the circle, then the number of nodes actually included is m plus 1. This is very important, so we should remember that. The second is that, as we formerly mentioned, is the n, which is the number of arcs or the number of nodes in the circle. Because it's a circle, so it should have the same number of arcs and the same number of nodes, right? And there is x and y. So y is kind of, because the circle is in this clockwise order, so it's from this to this, right? So the start point of the circle to the mid node, suppose they are y arcs. And on the other hand, suppose they are x arcs from the mid node to the start node of the circle. So we have n equals to x plus y, right? So we will give examples of what these 4 parameters mean. So let's go to the real example. So suppose this is a very, very long linked list. And node 1 is the height of the node. And suppose, we already know, node 10 is the start node of the circle. And the number of nodes in the circle include 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There are 6 nodes and 6 arcs. So we will have that from node 1 to node 10, there are 10 nodes and 9 arcs. So we will have the m will equal to none, right? And there are 2 pointers. We already know, suppose we already know the solution. The first way is that the first pointer will jump 2 arcs every step. For example, from 1 to 3, from 3 to 5, and from 5 to 7, from 7 to 9, 11, 13, 15, and 11, right, again, and 13 again. So the slow pointer will just move 1 arc every step. So it is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 13. So we meet at here, right? And how many arcs did the first pointer walked? This is a very important question. Actually, because it's from 1 to 3 is actually 2 arcs, right? It jumps 2 arcs. The distance is 2 actually. So 1 to 3 is 2, 3 to 5 is also 2. And we go over all these nodes. We know that for the slow, it's 13 nodes and 12 arcs. And we see that the number of nodes are similar, but the number of arcs doubles for the fast pointer, right? Because it's jump, right? Jump. 2 arcs, 1 step. So we know that the fast pointer walked 24 arcs, and the slow pointer walked 12 arcs from node 1 to node 13. This means that the fast pointer actually looped twice in the circle to wait for the slow pointer to catch up, right? So the first loop is that from 11 to 13 to 15 and to 11 back again. It's like here, right? This is the first circle that the fast pointer loops inside the circle. The second is that, again, it's from 11 to 13 to 15 and to 11. This is the second, actually, right? So it's for waiting for the slow pointer to catch up. We know this for meaning. And what's x and y? Let's see later. So x means that the distance from the midpoint 13 to the first node of the circle means that it's from 13 to 14 to 15 and to 10, right? There are 4 nodes and 3 arcs. So that x is 3. It's very important here. And the y is actually the start of the circle to the midpoint, to the mid node, right? It's 10, 11, 12, and 13. So there are actually 3 arcs of y. So totally there are 6 arcs in total. So x is 3 and y is also 3 here. This is very important. And I'm, note that I'm is 9. As we analysis, it's from 1 to 10. So there are 10 nodes and 9 arcs, right? So let's see the formula, right? We said that the total number of arcs that the fast pointer walked is the twice of the arcs that the slow pointer walked. So how many arcs did the slow pointer walked? It's very simple, right? It's m plus y, means that it's 9 plus 3, so it's 12. And how many steps did the fast pointer walked? It's more like, let's look at here, right? It's more like it's first the head will go over this m, and also it will loop, 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 loop again, again, again until after one loop it will come here, and finally it will go to y axis until meet here, right? So it means that it should be m plus the number of circles, for example k times n, and plus y, right? Plus y here, very important. So we will have this formula. So m plus k times n plus y is the number of arcs that the fast pointer walked. It's a double of the m plus y, right? It's very important here. So k actually is unknown. We never know. It's based on case by case. We never know how many circles should the fast pointer loop the circle until the slow pointer catch up with the fast pointer, right? We will see some examples. Actually, k could be 0, could be 1, could be 2, could be 3, could be a lot of things, right? So let's go deeper to this. So for example, if we already have this formula, m plus k times n plus y equals to 2, uh, 2 times m plus 2 times y, we will know that by some very easy calculation, we get m equal to x plus k minus 1 times n, right? This is very important. So we go back to see that actually m here is 9, right? And x here is 3, right? And n here is 6. So we know that k is actually 2 circles, right? 2 circles. 2 is the first circle and the second circle. 2 circles that the fast go over the circle to wait for the slow pointer, right? So we have this. This is very important. So what's the point next? Actually, we want to make use of x and the k and the n to seek the m. This is actually the second loop. Why the second loop works, right? So let me go back to this, right? So we will actually, after we meet at one pointer, will start from the midpoint node and go, follow this x to go to the start node. And another one is actually the slow one will go back to the height and will move the im axis. So maybe the fast pointer will actually loop one around and also x axis to go to that circle until they meet here, right? This is second circle. I will show you the code later. This is the second idea. So it's it. So it's m equals to x plus k minus 1 times n. It's very important for us to use x, k, and n to determine m actually. Okay, so let's conclude briefly. So for this example, m is 9 and y is 3, x also 3. From x is from 13, 14, 15 and back to 10, right? 3 arcs. And y is from 10 to 13, right? And the first pointer walked 24 arcs, and the third point walked 12 arcs, right? So it's the point, right? And the second is very important. Second is that we light the first pointer start from this midpoint 13, and we set the new step lines to be 1. So before it's 2, now it's only 1 arc. And we set again the slow point to be the height of the linked list, and then they walk, follow the direction of the arcs. So we see that it's actually looped again, several loops, and then finally meet 10. The slow will actually go 9x until meet the 10th node in this linked list here, right? So this is how we determine the second, by the second loop, how we determine the real midpoint, which is 10, how we seek for the 10 here, right? Let's look at another example. So what's the meaning of m, x, y, and n in another example? So suppose we remove the final node 15 here, and the 14th node will actually go back to link to 10. So now m is not changed, but n is changed from 6 to 5, right? There are now 5 nodes and 5 arcs. So what's x and what's y now? So let's look for them. So now we just list the first how the nodes of the first pointer walked. It's 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and also go back to 10, right? 10, 12, 14, and 11. So 11 here. So slow pointer will actually go one by one until reach the 10, 11. So here 11 is a new midpoint in the circle, right? In the circle. So what's y now? Y is the start of the circle to the midpoint. So basically it's only one arc here. So y is 1, and x is actually it's from 11 to 12 to 13 to 14 and back to 10. So there are 4 arcs. So x plus 1, x plus y, which is n, is actually 5 here, right? So the second loop is that in the code is like we set the first pointer to be 11, which is the midpoint, mid node, and then it walked step by step by one arc until it meet the slow. Slow here will be reset to be the height of the linked list. It's 1 to 10, and also the first we walked 1 to 10. So again, m is 9 here. So we through this way we determine m actually. Use what? Use x, y, and n. Okay, so this is the second example. So let's go back to the example in the description of this original problem. So suppose there are 3, 2, 0, minus 4, 4 nodes, and the tail node will point back to 2, right, to 2. So here we see that the m, there's only one arc from the height of the linked list to the start of the circle, right? And from the start of the circle to the midpoint, there are 2 arcs, right? So that means the y is 2. And what's x? X is actually 1, right? It's from minus 4 to 2, right? There's 1 arc. So it means x is 1 and y is 2. So we see that IMO will equals to 1 plus, so we did not know k before, but now we know it, right? Because suppose this k here, and we know that suppose we know that m is 1, and we see that k is actually 0. So there is no loop inside, right? K is actually 1. So K is 1. It's only one loop because it's from 0 to 2 and to -4, right? Inside the loop, it's only 1. So 1 minus 1 is 0, so it's actually 1 here. Right. So basically, the fast pointer walked 6 arcs until the meet with slow. Slow actually walked 3 arcs, right? So 1 arc, 2 arc, 3 arc. So the second loop will be like the fast will be reset to be the midpoint, the -4, and it will walk 1 step, 1 arc by 1 step. And the slow will be reset at the begin, the height of the linked list. So it'd be 3, and just walked 1 arc 1 time. So it's 3, 2, and it's -4, 2. They meet at 2, right? So 2, the index of 2, which is 1, right? It's 0th node, is first node, second node, third node in this linked list. So actually we'll actually return a 1, which is the index of the node 2, right? So this is the third example. Let's look at the final example, which is very interesting. So basically, there are only 2 nodes here, and the circle actually directly linked 2 with 1 means that m is 0, which means from the height of the linked list to the midpoint, to the mid node, is actually there. We do not need any arcs to go through. So for example, the fast will go like this. It's 1 and jump over 2 and go back to 1, and jump over 2 and back to 1. It's like 1, 1, 1. So slow is like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, like that, right? So the meet at 1, right? The meet at 1. This is very important. The meet at 1. So when they meet, the fast pointer walked 4 arcs, right? The 2 arc, 2 arc plus together is 4 arcs. The slow actually 1 arc, 1 arc is 2 arcs, right? So we know that actually here the k is 0. K is 0. It's very, very important. So m is 0 here, and x, what is x? We know that y is 0 because the start of the circle is the mid node. So we do not need to do anything to go from the start of the circle to the mid node, right? So y is 0. So x is from the mid node. Follow the direction of the arc and back to the start of the circle is at 1, 2, 1. It's actually there are 2 arcs. So x is 2, y is 0. So x is 2 and y is 0. We see that m equals to 2 plus k minus 1 times 2. So because m is 0, so this part have to be minus 2. So k have to be 0 actually. So that is minus 1 times 2, we got minus 2, and minus 2 plus 2 is actually 0. This is actually very, very important. So we know that, again, the second loop is that we start, the fast pointer start from the midpoint, and the slow pointer start from the height of the linked list, the first point. So they do not need to go further because they are equal at the beginning. So we just stop and we turn 0, which is the index of the node 1 in the linked list. So this is all the example, the 1, 2, 3, 4. This is first, this is second, and third, and fourth. Let's go back to code. So how we code this, right? As we said, we have 2 pointers. So if it's fast is height and slow is also height. And we go to the first loop, right? First traversal or something like that. So suppose a circle is false. Suppose there are no circle in the link suppose, right? So we will fast and fast dot next, right? So slow is slow the next, and fast is fast the next. This is very important because it jumped 2 times. We have to ensure that it first have the next node so that we can do this, right? So if, what does this mean? It means that there is a circle, right? So we break. And we jump if not is circle. Because if there is no circle, the first we just go to the tail, or the third we go to the tail, it will break automatically. But if there is no circle, what we return? We return none, right? All right, because it wants us to return the link, the list node, right? So the second we go to the second loop, second traversal. What do we do? So we set slow to be the height, to reset slow to be the height of the linked list. And what do we do next? So we will do this. Because currently the first pointer will point to is equal to what? To the midpoint, right? The mid node. And what do we do? Slow is just it's a kind of one arc, one step, right? And fast is also it's jumped, it's speed, so it's like right. So what do we return? We return fast. It's the start node of the circle. Right. So we run test it. Okay, it works. And also it says that it's to index one, right? Index one. Because it returns node 2, but the index of node 2 in the linked list is 1, right? Submit. Okay. Uh, 43. Actually, this should be very fast, right? Memory usage is good. So that's it. So we just give you a brief concluding here. So I think this is very important. What I am use number of arcs, not number of nodes. To analyze this question is very, very important. And we should know the meaning of m, the meaning of x, and meaning of y and n, and by the 4 examples, right? So that's it. Thank you.